What's up YouTube, Droll here from Zephyr Wargames, and today I am bringing you the test and combo video for the anti-Droll Dark World profile I showed you guys the other day. Now the idea of this deck is to be able to play around and through Droll as consistently as possible, as it is going to be one of the highest used hand traps of the upcoming format. So, we're going to do a couple of test stands going first and a couple going second, so you can see the consistency of the deck in order to build boards as well as breaking boards. With all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Our opening hand of 5 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, this is pretty much the perfect hand to be screaming to your opponent, try and hand trap me, I dare you. So what I mean by that is we're going to very easily, straight off, start by activating the Genta. Now, at this period of time, your opponent can try and ash you. Your opponent can also try and droll you by adding the gates. Now, some of the experienced players will try and play around the ability of getting gammaed. A lot of people may not even expect gamma to be in this deck. So they might go, you know what, I'm going to risk it now and droll you. This would be very painful, especially in a Dark World danger deck, because droll will stop your turn. So the chances are they're going to go, okay, you know what, let's try and droll you here. That's when you go, nope, and get the gamma to the board. If they were to save this and go, you know what, I'll wait, let's see how far they can go. You would then be able to go, activate Gate of the Dark World, Gate of the Dark World effect, banish the Genta, discard the Snow. Now you can discard Rainbow if you want to, but we can do that on the next one. You will then be able to draw one random card. So straight away, the fact they didn't draw you the first time has allowed you to net an additional draw. At this point, you can very easily go Chain Link 1 Snow, Chain Link 2 Genta. Now, this is the period where your opponent might want to droll you after getting the draw because they want you to stop getting the search off of Snow. Now, if they droll you as Chain Link 3, the chain would resolve backwards, meaning you would summon the Genta back, and then Snow would no longer be able to add the card because it has been successfully resolved under Draw and Lockbird. So this is option number 2 for them to try and droll you to stop you getting that additional search. The chances are, if they can see these plays happening, they're going to stop you at a certain point. If Snow resolves, the chances are the card it's going to search will end up being something like a Session, which can get you into additional protection and disruption, or it could be something like a Cerule that doesn't rely on a Droll and Lockbird to complete a hand loop. So that might be something that they're going to try and want to stop happening at all. And again, that's another position where you can very easily go Gamma. So one way or another, Gamma will either hit the board or you're going to get a Genta to the board. If you were just to get the Genta to the board and you were to resolve the Snow effect, and let's say we added, I don't know, let's say we go for the Accession instead. Again, at this period, if your opponent was to go Droll and Lockbird, you can very easily go Astral Karibo, reveal level 4, Mate Baguska, pass. So you're still in a very good defensive-minded position that is going to cause your opponent a lot of issues. We're going to show you the maximum value you can get, so we'll say that they droll you, attempt to droll you at this point. Now obviously if they droll an Ash, you're still trading 1 reveal for 2. Yes, they know you've got this, but then you can very easily normal summon a monster to the board and go into Lambda. And then you're, rather than running on a Baguska to defend, you've also got a Lambda. So we're going to be able to bring down Driver and we're going to bring out Gamma. And then of course we're going to resolve by bringing back the Genta, and we're going to resolve the Snow by searching you out a Cerule. Now again, keep in mind, actually we're not even going to go Cerule, I'm going to go a little bit more greedy now that we don't have to worry about Droll. Keep in mind as well, we'll go for the Archives. If you wanted to and you're that worried about a hand trap, you can very easily play Axel Synchro Dragon, bring back the Gamma and go into a Baron. I like to go into the Omega because let's imagine our opponent has 5 cards in the hand. They've already tried to hand trap us and they've lost that one. They're now down to 4. I'm going to make sure they go down to 3 by linking these or syncing these together and go into an Omega. And now you can hold the Omega so that when Genta gets banished, you're able to add it back. But now we're just going to go Omega, let's get rid of another card in your hand and see what that card is going to be. So we get rid of 2 cards. We're now in a position where if you want to, you can activate Astral Karibo, make a rank 4 of the garage, draw cards and go from there. I'm actually going to push it that little step further. And we're going to activate the Archives. We're going to use Archives effect to discard the Rainbow. This will boost up the Genta. What it will also do is allow us to go Chain Link 1 Archives, Chain Link 2 Rainbow. Off of the Rainbow, we will be able to search a card. Now, if I want to bounce back multiple lines of resource, I go with the Grepher. If I feel that I'm feeling lucky and I'm going to be able to get to a Cerulli off of the back of Archives or Gate, so I've got 3 routes to get to it, then you would actually search yourself out a silver. So again, you're setting yourself up with multiple opportunities in order to successfully resolve the Archives. The reason the silver is important because you can discard it, get it to the board, and then bring it back to the hand. So, resolve the Archives, discarding silver. You can very easily discard the Kuriboh if you want to as well, and draw 2 new cards. Now this Gamma is obviously dead at this exact moment in time, but that is very easy discard fodder for later on, so it's not the end of the world. Plus, if you were to make a Lambda, if you were just to link these 2 into a Lambda, because your driver is in the graveyard, this is still now live and active. So at this position here, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to return the Yugioh to the hand to bring down the Rainbow. And then you're going to activate the Yugioh's effect, discarding itself to search you out another Gate of the Dark World. You'll activate the second Gate of the Dark World and very easily do the exact same scenario. So you're going to shuffle up, you're going to banish the Yugioh. Doesn't matter, you can banish the Snow as well because your Omega can bring it back during the next standby phase when Omega is on the board. And you're going to discard the Greffa. You can very easily discard the Kuriboh if you want to, as at this exact period in time, because we're not playing a level 8 or a rank 8 number monster, you could use that there and kind of go on that route. So we're going to resolve this. We're going to draw 1 card. If our opponent had a monster, Greffa, of course, would pop it. And then what we'll be able to do is bring the silver back to the hand in order to have a guaranteed rank 8 on the board should the worst thing happen. Now the best thing with our entire hand right here is by revealing the Thunderbird, as long as we don't hit it, we'll actually be able to get Coach Trainer and get more draws as well. So we're going to reveal 1 to 5. We hit the 5, which is the silver, which is absolutely fine. We summon down the Thunderbird, we draw 1 card. Silver's effect will trigger, summon itself back. Now the best thing about all of this is we haven't even conducted a normal summon. So what you'd want to do here, and again this is a little bit risky because if they have Imperm or Veiler, they can stop it. But you go into Coach Trainer, normal summon Tour Guide's effect. If this was to get stopped by an Impermanent Ash, Veiler or anything like that, you still have Astral Kuriboh that can use this effect to summon itself down and overlay a natural Bamboozling Gossip Shadow. So again, you still have multiple ways to complete that protection play. Summon out Tour Guide. It doesn't matter attack or defense because it's just going to be used as material. There we go. So shuffle this up. Now this is where we're going to regain more resource. So you're going to detach one of these at a time. But the first one you want to put to the graveyard will be Rainbow. Draw a card. It's a monster. Our opponent burns. Detach. Reveal it. It's a monster. Wow, okay. Our opponent burns. Detach. Reveal it. It's a monster. Our opponent burns again. We then get to use the ability to regain more resource. So return silver for Rainbow. Return Rainbow for Greffa. Now again, our hand is still pretty stacked. There's not really anything in our graveyard we're too worried about. And now we have the ability. It's a little bit sad that the only danger we have is 1 Nessie. But should Nessie get hit, you're then able to recycle it again. We've got the capabilities, at the very least, of going into a Mutt-Rucker. Mutt-Rucker will then be able to let you mandatorily trigger or allow you to choose which one of these you want to trigger and go from there. Now, what we'll do, because obviously we've got loads in our hand and it's more than the 6-sided dice, we'll shuffle these up and we'll just pick one at random off of the reveal for Nessie, which is probably what you'll end up doing against your opponent anyway. There we go. We'll just take the middle one, which is, I think we've got exactly 8, so take one of those 2. There you go. So odds and evens. Evens, we hit Rainbow. Okay. So Nessie would summon, Nessie would draw, broken. Rainbow would then resolve. Rainbow would then search you out at level 5 to 8. So the only other one that we kind of might want is another Greffa or a gold. Do we still have an 8 in hand? Yeah, we've still got a Rainbow in hand. I mean, I'll tell you what, let's go for the Greffa instead because then we'll be able to gain back a few more resources. There we go. We'll then go to activate trading, get rid of the Greffa, draw 2 new ones, another Gamma, and a card destruction. Wow, do we want to draw new cards? Probably. Our hand is still pretty stacked. So our graveyard's still pretty good as well. It's now entirely up to you. You can go into a Mutt-Rucker play to be able to protect more of this. And the reason you can go into a Mutt-Rucker play, as long as you've got a level 4 in the graveyard in the form of Snow, is you can actually get utilization out of the Astral Kuriboh as well. So what I mean by that is you can very easily get rid of the Nessie and the Coach King. You can go into the Mutt-Cracker. There we go. You can decide to use this effect now if you want to. You also have the ability, if you wanted to go, that's where a lambda comes into play, because you can make lambda and then muckracker, and then your gammas are now live. So that's probably one thing that I would consider changing going forward, if I can find the space for it, to put a lambda into the deck. So what you'd want to do here is you'd want to use muckracker's effect. You're going to discard the silver. Like I said, you can very easily use card destruction, but you don't want to be like aiding your opponent into getting into other cards. So the muckracker effect will discard the silver, but will summon back the snow, which is very important, because then what's going to happen here is silver will summon itself back. And again, you're in a very good position because you've got a lot of fiends. Loop back the silver, and the silver you're going to want to loop back for the rainbow. Loop the rainbow back for a Greffer. And then you still, basically you're just burning through your resource to then activate a card destruction. So activate Astral Karibo, summon itself down. It is a fiend, so you're still good with Muckracker, even though Muckracker locks you into fiends from the extra deck. Overlay into a Daguerre's effect. Again, we're just digging for those draws. Draw 2, ditch 1. Genta and another tour guide. I'm still amazed I haven't seen the Accession yet. So let's discard, I think we've still got gold. I could discard a silver if I wanted to. I can discard a rainbow to get a search. So it really doesn't matter exactly where we go. If we've gone through both gates, it's absolutely fine. So, I mean, it really doesn't matter what you discard here. You can discard whatever you want. So let's say we discard the Gamma. Now we are locked into fiends, which isn't the end of the world, because if you want to, you can activate the card destruction. And the idea behind doing that is you'll get silver back to the board, which is absolutely fine. So let's activate card destruction, because this is just mental. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's draw 8 new cards and hope we don't deck ourselves out later on. So 1, oh there he is, 2, 3, 4, that's what we wanted, 5, 6, 7, 8, broken. And then you try and resolve as much as you possibly can. So you've got rainbow, you've got silver, and another rainbow. So silver will definitely summon. I'm pretty sure I've got like 1 target left for rainbow in the deck. Yeah, gold, there we go. And then you can return the silver to the hand. Not that you want this much advantage on the board in your hand. Bring back rainbow. And then you still have the ability to activate a session. The issue is a session would banish one of the Greffers, but you probably want to banish one Greffer. Again, you can recycle that with a Mega later on. We'll discard a random card, which will be, well, not a random card, but a specific card. I mean, why not? Discard Ceruli. Our opponent's only playing with, we've already eaten up 2 of our opponent's hands, so our opponent's still only playing with 3 cards. So we discard Ceruli, we banish Greffer, we summon down the Greffer Dragon. Ceruli goes to our opponent's side of the board. That will then force us to discard a card, so we discard silver. Obviously silver can't come back to the board, but it's still going to loop our opponent for 2 cards. So now we only have 1 card left in their hand. Our hand is 2, 4, 6, 7, so we're in a good position there. Silver is stuck in the graveyard, it's not coming back. If we want to, we can very easily add the Accession back to the hand, which is very nice. So add this back to the hand, we'll discard a Darkworld card. So let's discard Genta, it's of no use to us right now. Set the Accession, pass. During our opponent's turn, if they clear a card off the board, or even if they don't, you still have the ability to activate Accession, banish the Greffer from the board, and then discard any dark monster, like Zephyros, or even Bigfoot. So let's say we do it this way, right? So they've got Ceruli on the board, right? We go to our opponent's turn. Not only do they need to deal with the Greffer, not only can Muckracker protect from destruction, you've also got Bamboozling Gossip Shadow, which will negate and let us both draw a card. But then, on top of that, you can activate the Accession again. This will allow you to banish the second Greffer. This will allow us to discard the Bigfoot. And this will allow you to summon another Greffer. Now, obviously, you can't use the Greffer's effect again, but that will then allow you to use Bigfoot's effect to destroy 1 card your opponent controls. Considering the first card they play, unless it's Droll or no more, and even if it is, that's where the second Greffer comes into play. So let's say they've got 2 in their hand now. Let's say their first card they play is Droll or no more, turns off the entire board, and the other card they've got is a 1-card combo, right? So before they activate that, you activate a session, you then fill your board out, they've got 1 card to play. If that card is a monster effect, a normal spell, or a normal trap, it will then get negated off of the back of the Greffer Dragon. Not to mention, if they played that card before, and if they went Droll or no more and then played the card face up, you activate a session, summon out the Greffer Dragon, pop it with Bigfoot, they're not playing. That's your OTK play there. So that was a very long-winded, in-depth test hand, but that's what this deck is about. This deck does go into detail, this deck does go in depth. And not to mention that if any of your cards are clear off the board, your Omega is coming back anyway. If it's not coming back to the board, then I believe that Omega can't come back, which means the card you banished off your opponent isn't coming back either, which is very, very funny. Not to mention you also burnt them for 2,400 off of the coach trainer as well. So that was a long test stand. We're now going to do one guy in second, just to kind of show you how Gamma can help you out if you see it in your opening hand, and also show you how Lava Golem, although a lot of people are kind of skeptical about it, I still feel that for a go second card, Lava Golem is just too important. I feel that when you're looking at the Super Heavy Samurai board, they're not just putting one monster on the board. Yes, if cash is still relevant, they may just put a Rise Heart Pass on the board, and that's where you might consider Santa Claus or Raijin as well, because Raijin will be a Dark Fiend. It really comes down to the format and how everything else is shaping up. But if you're looking at most decks putting multiple Omni Negates on the board, a Kaiju just isn't going to cut it. Especially when you look at Super Heavy Samurais, they've got Appaloosa, possibly Savage, if not a Fury King Regulus and a Baron. So if you Kaiju one of them, you're probably going to Kaiju the Appaloosa, because then you've still got 2 Omni Negates to deal with your dangers or whatever else you reveal. If you Lava Golem, you only need to deal with 1 Omni Negate. So that's the logic behind that. Our test stand going second will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you could risk the Gamma, but I'm actually going to do it to try and bait out my opponent into interacting with me. So we'll draw the 6th card being Snow. Now at this point now, our opponent's definitely going to have less cards in the hand, and we've got a very big chain to start building up. You can normal summon your Tour Guide if you want to, but ultimately I think we're better off trying to dig for a Lava Golem. So we'll start off with the card destruction, and we're basically saying to our opponent, ash me or stop me, because I've technically got 5 cards in my hand that could all be dangers, that could all trigger. So how are they going to interact with that? If they do try and interact with you, that's where the Gamma's going to come into play, because then the Gamma can drop down, give you the driver, and guarantee the card destruction goes through. And on top of that as well, it will also mean that by making sure this goes through, yes, you get 1 less draw, but it does give you the ability to negate and destroy a card they're trying to stop you with. It would mean that they would need to use up 2 negates in order to stop your hand, and then that's where Tour Guide can be normal summoned and make your plays from there. So we're going to discard all 4 of these. We're going to draw 4 brand new cards. 3, 4. And now we're going to be able to chain all the effects. Now you want to make sure you put Greffa in the middle, because then it means your opponent cannot negate that. So you'll be able to take out one of their negates if they've left 1 on the board. So you go Snow chaining 1, Greffa chaining 2, Snow chaining 3. This will then allow you to add off of the Snow twice. And off of the back of that, we're going to want to add a... We've already got the access to the Genta. So I would add a Rainbow and I would add a Ceruli. And then off of the back of the Greffa, you would pop 1 card as well. Now at this particular moment in time, you can go into an Omega if you want to. You can very easily go into an Akashic. I'm going to leave these on the board until I give my opponent a Ceruli. And in doing so, I'm going to discard the Genta. We're going to search out the Gate of the Dark World. We'll activate the Gate. We're going to use this effect to banish the Genta. And in doing so, we're going to discard the Rainbow. We're going to draw a card as well. Draw 1 card. Another Tour Guide. Probably should have normal the Tour Guide first, but hey-ho. Then on Resolution, Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2. So summon this back. Rainbow will now search us out the Silver, wherever it may be. There we go. Now, if you're worried about Nibiru or any particular hand trap, then of course Omega, Rip, and go from there. In this one, what we're going to do here is we're actually going to return this to the hand with Rainbow, return Rainbow to the hand with Greffa. We're then going to activate Genta's effect again, and this is going to allow us to get the 2nd Gate of the Dark World, wherever it may be. There we go. Activate the 2nd Gate of the Dark World. Use the 2nd Gate of the Dark World effect to banish as cost the Genta. You can banish a Snow if you want to, it doesn't make much of a difference. Discard the Ceruli, draw a random card. Ceruli's effect goes to our opponent's board. Now, keep in mind, we searched out the Silver. If we're trying to be a bit more aggressive, rather than hand looping, I probably should have gone for, wherever it may be. Oh, I've already got gold. Ignore that. I didn't even look that far down my hand. Ceruli's effect is going to trigger. This is going to make us discard gold. And the reason of doing that is you get to pop 2 cards your opponent controls. So at the very least, you could pop the Ceruli, or you're going to pop 2 other cards. Gold will then come back to the board. You can then link these 2 together. Session Draw is really nice as well. Kashyyyk is going to bounce the Ceruli back to the hand, which is also very nice. You could put it here as well and bounce the gold back to your hand if you wanted to, but we're not really going to want to, we don't need to go that deep down the rabbit hole. We still haven't conducted a normal summon. It's probably past the point of even worrying about a about worrying about a lava golem. Like, we tried to pick everything apart as we possibly could. So now we get the ability to activate the archives. You can use archives effect, discard the Ceruli in order to loop your opponent or increase the attack of these by 100. It will then allow you to dump the silver or the rainbow, whichever one you want to go for. Obviously, you trigger the Ceruli, putting it over to your opponent's side of the field. I'm actually going to go... Do I want the summon from the deck? Yeah, I'm going to go for the summon from the deck. I'm going to get greedy. I mean, we've already popped 2 cards. If my opponent still has 2 cards in the hand, then yeah, of course I can go for the silver. If they don't, then going for the rainbow is probably going to be a bit more beneficial because you'll get the ability to go Chainlink 1, Archives, Chainlink 2, Rainbow. Rainbow will allow you to add the Grepher. And obviously Rainbow allows to special summon a level 4 from the deck, which will be our final Snow. You then get the ability of resolving the archives, which will let you discard a card and draw 2. By discarding the Grepher, you get to pop the Ceruli, so they've got no defense left at all. You've then got the ability, should you want to, return gold for Rainbow, return Snow for Grepher. The hand is still pretty stacked. We still haven't conducted a normal summon. We've got 3 dangers to try and resolve. So at this moment in time, you've definitely got game just in these 3 here. Depends on how much further you want to push it, how much further you want to go with it. Like I said, you've got so many options in your hand. You haven't even conducted a normal summon. It's the issue with the tour guide is we've gone through all 3. So it's probably something that in hindsight, you probably normal summon it early doors. You still have the ability to make an Appaloosa if you want to. The only thing you don't want to make right now is the coach trainer or the giant trainer because then you can't conduct your battle phase. So again, entirely up to you on where you want to go there. You've got so much in your hand that literally just by activating a danger, no matter what you hit, you'll be able to get presence on the board. So absolutely crazy on where you're going to go from here. This, like I said, is OTK enough. And through the plays, we've ended up popping 4 cards on our opponent's board and a 5th if you include the Gamma Negate protection. So this is what I'm trying to explain about the Gamma. Yes, it is very big risk and reward. If you draw into it late and you're not playing Lambda, it can restrict your plays. It can ultimately end up being a dead brick. If you want to play the Lambda, you can go for it. But the idea behind Gamma is that you see it in your opening hand. If you see it in your opening hand going second, it's a very powerful hand trap. If you see it in your opening hand going first, you're able to protect your Genta combo. You're also able to protect some of your other combos that rely on you activating effects before committing a monster to the board. Like I said, risk and reward. The bigger risk you pay, the higher the reward, but it is a risk regardless. It's still a very good and important card to protect you. If you don't like it at all, by all means take it out. It does come down to personal preference. But in that sense, it's probably one of the most consistent ways of dealing with a Droll and Lockbird without clogging your deck down with possibly 3 crossouts and maybe 1 Droll that if you draw it, that's it, combo over. Or just a single call by the grave. There are pros and cons to everything you play in a Danger Darkworld deck. It's Danger Darkworld for a reason. It is RNG factor. There's a reason it plays the way it is. But that is what people loved about Light Swans, is it was all luck based on the mills, unless you can control it. The exact same thing with Darkworlds. It is luck based on the reveals of dangers and everything else, unless you find ways of being able to control it in the form of Salamander and everything else. But for now, as absolutely always, guys, if you did enjoy this video, if you found a couple of information about it, if you do have any questions, put them in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. Like I said, this is a testing deck. This is something that I've tried out, and it's worked out quite nice dealing with Droll in testing. And it's always open for adaptation and plays. And if you are going to comment with a comeback to this, please provide constructive feedback. Don't just say, that's a brick. That doesn't help anyone, it doesn't help me, it doesn't help you, it doesn't help everyone else watching the content or reading the comment. If you wanted to say, it's a bit of a brick, I would prefer to play this, and the reason I think it's a brick is because of this, this, and this, then of course we can have a very good discussion and explore our general knowledge around Darkworlds and other cards that can be useful and more effective. Anyway, with all of that out of the way, smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.